Number 9. The OYO Hotel and Casino. This property sits a short walk from the southern end of Las Vegas Boulevard on East Tropicana Avenue. From the outside, it still carries the silhouette of a casino, but over the past 12 months, almost everything that made it one has been quietly removed. It started in August of 2025 when the Hooters restaurant that had anchored the property for years closed without warning. No press release, no transition plan, no indication of what might replace it. That mattered more than just losing a restaurant, because before this address carried the OYO name, it had cycled through 7 different identities: Howard Johnson, Paradise, 20th Century, Treasury, Pacifica, Polynesian, and then the Hooters. Each new name was an attempt to stabilize a property that never quite found solid footing. When that last recognizable anchor left, whatever remained of the identity went with it. Then came the table games. In September of 2025, most of the live dealer staff were laid off. Hours were cut to a 4-hour daily window. By October, management told the remaining dealers that even those hours were finished. The dollar blackjack tables that had made this property a genuine destination for everyday strip visitors were gone. In January of that same year, a cyber attack struck the property's systems. The breach was not disclosed publicly until September. Nearly 9 months later, OYO became the 4th major Las Vegas property hit by the cyber criminals in 2 years, alongside Caesars, MGM, and Boyd Gaming. Those companies had the financial depth to absorb the fallout. OYO had none of it. What stands there now is a budget hotel with slot machines. Guest reviews describe broken elevators, rooms untouched in years, and billing disputes that go unresolved. 7 names, 7 chances, and a trajectory pointing in only one direction. Number 8. The Rio Las Vegas. The Rio story is not one of neglect, it is one of ambition that may have stretched too far. Dreamscape Companies bought the property from Caesars Entertainment in 2019 for $516 million, then invested roughly $340 million in renovations, new rooms in Ipanema Tower, a redesigned casino floor, an upgraded convention center. Phase 1 wrapped up at the end of 2024, and then the momentum hit the wall. As of early 2026, around 1,000 rooms in the older Masquerade Tower remained untouched. Phase 2 has not started. The property is operating with a fully renovated half and a deteriorated half, and the contrast is visible to anyone who walks the hallways. In August of 2025, Dreamscape secured a $176.5 million loan, a retroactive financing deal that allowed the company to pay down senior debt. The transaction was the largest in the lender's history. Industry observers took note immediately. Vital Vegas and other insiders reported that the Rio had been in discussions with lenders about restructuring. Multiple sources described the property operating under a hiring freeze. A proposed arena partnership that would have anchored the northern section of the property's 90-acre site fell apart entirely. That deal was critical. An off-strip property surrounded by MGM and Caesars loyalty ecosystems needs a compelling reason to exist beyond its rooms and casino floor. Without that anchor, there is no convincing argument for a visitor to cross off the boulevard. The Carnival World Buffet, a crowd-drawing institution for decades, was replaced with the food court during the renovation. At a local business forum in October 2025, a board member acknowledged the food court was empty every time he visited. Dreamscape has now committed north of $850 million to this property. Half the building is still waiting. The money is largely borrowed, and a comeback the Rio was supposed to be staging is still very much in question. Number 7. The LINQ Hotel and Casino. Of all the properties on this list, the LINQ's challenges are among the most structurally difficult to solve. The venue was built on the footprint of the old Imperial Palace following a $550 million transformation completed in 2014. the high roller observation wheel, the outdoor pedestrian promenade. The concept was designed to create a walkable entertainment hub in the mid-strip that would generate foot traffic and convert it into revenue. The foot traffic part worked, the conversion part did not. The casino floor at the LINQ runs approximately 33,000 square feet, the smallest on the entire Las Vegas Strip. Thousands of people pass through the property daily, but fewer than 1 in 5 actually spends money inside the casino or hotel. A conversion rate below 20% on a strip's smallest gaming floor is a mathematical problem that no marketing strategy can fix. Strip-level labor costs and rent require volume. There is no volume. Caesars has begun describing the LINQ internally as a non-core asset. That language matters. When an operator uses that phrase about one of its own properties, it signals that the land beneath has started to look more interesting than the business running on top. The 3-acre parcel the LINQ occupies is valued at over $420 million. Budget cuts have already trimmed facade, maintenance and lounge investment. What was designed as a destination has settled into being a corridor, a place people walk through on the way to somewhere else. Number 6. Treasure Island. Treasure Island's current pressure began the moment the tram stopped running. In June of 2024, the Free People mover that had connected Treasure Island to its neighbor for over 30 years was suspended when the Mirage closed its doors on July 17, 2024 to begin a multi-year transformation into the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. The tram is not permanently gone. Plans call it to resume service when the Hard Rock opens, currently targeted for late 2027. But the 3-year gap in between has consequences. For decades, that connection was a consistent pipeline of foot traffic. Guests moving between the two properties crossed through Treasure Island's casino floor. That overflow sustained the property's baseline of daily visitors in a way that neither marketing nor reputation can fully replace. Treasure Island has also watched its dining lineup shrink. Senor Frog's, a party institution at the property for more than a decade, closed permanently at the end of 2024. Its space is listed for lease. The outdoor pirate show that once gave its property a strip front identity ended years ago. The neighboring site is now a construction zone until at least 2027. What remains is a standalone property that visitors must seek out deliberately in a market that grows more competitive every year. Phil Ruffin, who owns both Treasure Island and Circus Circus, has stayed quiet about what 2027 and the return of a tram will eventually mean. But right now, that timeline is still long and the financial pressure of operating through a 3-year construction disruption next door is very real. Number 5. Circus Circus. Circus Circus opened in Las Vegas Strip in 1968. It is the oldest original resort structure still standing on the boulevard. For decades, that history was a selling point, a connection to a different era of Las Vegas. Today, the history is still there, but the owner's stated intentions has changed the story entirely. Phil Ruffin bought the property from MGM Resorts in 2019 for $825 million. The purchase included the Adventure Dome indoor amusement park and adjacent festival grounds, and a total land footprint of 102 acres. In January of 2025, Ruffin told Forbes what industry insiders had suspected for years: he wants to sell. And the way he talked about it made his strategy transparent. "Why do you think I bought Circus Circus?" he said. "For the 102 acres, that's a land play." He values full site at approximately $5 billion. The casino is currently profitable. It generates around $90 million annually in operating cash flow before interest and depreciation, according to reports citing Vital Vegas. Ruffin has leaned into that angle, calling it a cash cow and pointing to its low price model. $2 beers, $2 hot dogs, as proof the property still has a customer base. But the improvements he announced when he bought it, a wave pool complex, a large entertainment theater, new amenities, have largely not materialized as of 2026. The planned features were never built. When an owner describes a property as land play, compares it to a Frontier hotel which he bought for 165 million and sold 9 years later for 1.2 billion, and begins openly courting buyers through a national business magazine. The operating future of a casino becomes secondary to whatever comes next. Circus Circus is not closing tomorrow, but its owner had already told the world what it's really worth to him. Number 4. The Flamingo, Las Vegas. The Flamingo opened in 1946. It has operated continuously on the same corner of Las Vegas Boulevard for nearly 80 years. That longevity is extraordinary, and right now Caesars is trying to use it as a foundation for investment rather than a reason to walk away. The property came close to being sold. For much of 2022 and 2023, Caesars was actively marketing a strip asset under terms of agreement with its real estate partner BC Properties. The Flamingo was widely identified as the most likely candidate. A sale process was underway when it stalled. By late 2024, Caesars CEO Tom Reeg confirmed the sale had not happened and that the company was comfortable holding the property for the time being. What followed was a wave of renovation announcements for 2025 and 2026. A redesigned lobby, a new lobby bar, refreshed public spaces, and an overhauled casino-level bar. New dining concepts opened, including Gordon Ramsay Burger and Pinky's by Wonderpump. More tenants are arriving as the property approaches its 80th anniversary year. So why is the Flamingo on the list, you ask? Because the underlying financial pressure has not gone away. The broader Caesars portfolio is under serious strain, which we will address at number 1. The Flamingo generates the lowest revenue per square foot of any Caesars strip property. Its 15-acre parcel carries a valuation well above 600 million. The sale conversation did not collapse because Caesars decided this was a long-term priority. It collapsed because market conditions and buyer dynamics weren't aligned. The renovations are real, but so is the fact that this property was on the market less than 2 years ago. Whether it belongs in the Caesars portfolio long-term has not been answered. It has been deferred. Number 3. Palace Station. Palace Station opened in 1976 under the name Bingo Palace. It was built as a casino for Las Vegas locals, far from the strip. 1,000 rooms, a poker room, a loyal customer base that came back because this was their place. That identity is still there, just barely. What changed was what happened above it. In 2007, Station Casinos underwent a leveraged buyout valued at 5.3 billion that loaded the company with more debt than it could sustain under any stress scenario. By 2009, the company was in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing 5.7 billion in assets against 6.5 billion in debt. The company survived. It shed nearly 4 billion in obligations through restructuring and eventually emerged from bankruptcy, but the experience established a pattern. In 2020, Station Casinos shuttered Texas Station, Fiesta Rancho, and Fiesta Henderson permanently. It did not try to reopen them, it sold the land, because the land was worth more than the business. Palace Station sits on 42 acres. Internal audits from 2024 flagged approximately 9 million in deferred repairs. Guest reviews describe persistent plumbing failures and water damage complaints. Station Casinos carries a total debt load approaching 3 billion. Analysts have pointed to Palace Station specifically as a property where economics of land may eventually win out over the economics of operation. The loyal customers are still showing up. The question is whether that loyalty outlasts the corporate math that now governs what happens to properties that are worth more as real estate than as casinos. Station learned that lesson in 2020. It closed 3 properties and sold the dirt. The template is already written. Before we get to number 1, this list cannot move forward without acknowledging what happened just across town on March 5, 2026. At 2 in the morning, the East Side Cannery on Boulder Highway came down in an implosion. The tower fell in seconds. 6 years earlier, the property had closed during the pandemic shutdowns of 2020. It never reopened. 300 hotel rooms and 64,000 square feet of casino floor sat dark for the entirety of that time. The surrounding neighborhood lived with an abandoned building on its main corridor for 6 years. Boyd Gaming acquired the land in early 2025 for 45 million. Not the business, not the brand. The land. The only thing left with recoverable value. Residential development will replace it. The East Side Cannery is not just a closure. It's a preview of what the math looks like when it finishes calculating. When the dirt under a shuttered casino is worth more than any realistic plan to bring it back, demolition is not a threat. It is the conclusion. Las Vegas is now moving toward the conclusion at a pace that has surprised even long-time observers of the market. Keep that in mind as we get to number 1. Number 1. Caesars Entertainment. Every warning sign on this list runs uphill and arrives here. The deferred maintenance, the non-core designations, the land valuations outpacing operating returns, the shrinking customer base, the regulatory failures, all of it connects back to the largest casino operator on the Las Vegas Strip. In 2025, Caesars Entertainment posted a net loss of 502 million for the full year, against a net loss of 278 million the prior year. Revenue across the company grew modestly to 11.5 billion, but the bottom line told a different story. The Las Vegas segment absorbed the pressure most visibly. Quarterly Las Vegas revenue in the third quarter of 2025 fell nearly 10% year over year. The company carried 11.9 billion in aggregate debt as of year-end. The regulatory picture made a difficult year worse. In 2025, Caesars was named alongside MGM and Resorts World in federal anti-money laundering proceedings tied to convicted illegal bookmaker Matthew Bouvier, who was permitted to move through multiple casino properties for years despite documented red flags. The combined AML fines across those three companies and Wynn totaled 32.3 million. For Caesars, the compliance overhaul that followed forced another wave of cost containment across the portfolio at the precise moment when their investment was most needed. And visitation is falling in ways that directly affect Caesars' scale advantage. Las Vegas welcomed 38.5 million visitors in 2025, according to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. That is a decline of 7.5% from 2024. The first year-over-year drop in the post-pandemic era. International arrivals softened. Canadian visitors, historically one of Las Vegas' most reliable international audiences, pulled back in meaningful numbers amid trade tensions and currency concerns. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority described 2025 as one of the most complex operating environments the destination had faced outside of the pandemic years. Caesars operates 8 casino hotels on the Strip. That portfolio includes properties we have already discussed on this list: the LINQ, the Flamingo, the Caesars Palace itself. The company has already applied the non-core label internally to more than one of those properties. Non-core is not neutral description. It is the language a corporation uses when a property has begun to look more valuable as a real estate transaction than as an operating business. The stock has reflected the pressure. Caesars shares traded near $18 in early 2026, more than 40% below the average analyst price target at the time. What makes Caesars the number one casino in trouble right now is not that any single property is in immediate collapse. It is that the pressure is everywhere in the portfolio simultaneously, and there is very little buffer left to absorb further shocks. When a company this large bleeds at this rate across this many properties, it does not just affect its own balance sheet. It affects every vendor, every tenant, every feeder business, and every smaller operator that operates in its orbit. Las Vegas has navigated crises before. It has survived recessions, construction booms that overbuilt the market, and a global pandemic that shut the city down entirely. It will navigate this moment too. But the shape of what comes next is already visible in the dust clouds over Boulder Highway, and in the non-core classifications quietly being assigned to some of the most famous addresses in American entertainment. The land is starting to win, and in Las Vegas, right now, it is winning faster than most people realize. Las Vegas has always been a city that reinvents itself on the ruins of what came before. But what's different now is that the reinvention is increasingly being driven by developers, not dreamers. If you want to follow what's actually happening here, consider liking this video and subscribing for more.